Hello folks, it's Rob, and this is Kerbal's Space Program, and welcome back. I haven't done one of these in a while, but that's because I knew this was going to happen. We're now on version 0.23, which means some further refinements to the science progression, and actually some optimizations, and a couple new components, just a couple ones. Let's dive in, shall we? So, suppose we'll start out by having a look at the stuff. So I'm going to go into a saved game. And let's see here. I believe this one is a sandbox, so we'll just go into here. So what's new? Well, we got some new components. In the science lab, we have the Mobile Processing Lab, MPL-LG-2, which will be used so that you can actually send back a larger proportion of your science and kind of rinse and repeat your science experiments while you're out in space. So it's a fairly large component, as you can see. Has actually a crew capacity of 2. So this is not unmanned, okay? Weighs 3.5 tons. So, not tiny. It's like a mini space station in a single unit. Okay? But it'll come in very handy for getting back lots of science. Now, the other new thing is the Rapier engine, which is, if you're a space geek, is a saber engine. It has 4 built-in thrusters, as you can see here. Each one does animate. And it breathes air while it's in the atmosphere. And then once out of the atmosphere, it switches over to oxygen. And it'll start sipping the oxygen as it needs it. So it's basically about as efficient as you can get that way for a space plane. Okay? Take off from the ground, get up into space. You'll have loads more fuel when you get up there. Why? Because you won't be having to carry so much oxygen. You can actually have a jet fuel tank on board for this thing. And so here's the stats on it. As you can see, it's 1.75 tons. It has a maximum temperature rating. So that's in comparison to the toroidal aerospike, the turbojet, or the basic jet engine. So now you have that as well. Okay? I'm afraid that's about it for components. You can, everything else is pretty much what we had in 0.22. But you have these 2 new things. And those are neat. It's nice to have them. Let's show you something with this on it. Let's build something. Yes. Okay. Right. So let's see. Where's my jet fuel tank? There's my jet fuel tank. Drop that on there. Right. And then I'll have a regular fuel tank up here above it. Okay. Right. Now we'll stick a capsule on top of that, because we can. And let's give it some stabilization just so it's not crazy. Right, let's see, how do I want this? I want 3-way symmetry. Stick those on there like so. And I'm not 100% certain whether I need an air intake or not. So let's find out, shall we? Because they may be required, they may not be required. I don't know. So let's this is enough to go and do a demonstration. Let's take her out. It should be small enough that it should just sit on top of the engine without, like, exploding or falling over, so it should be fine. Right, there she is. Our little Rapier engine test bed. Now, stabilization on. Thrust up. And we are go, go, go. As you can see, we have 4 impulsing thrusters back there, just like a Sabre engine, oddly enough. So this is probably fairly high tech. I don't know exactly where it plays it or where it gets unlocked. So what's our resources? You can see oxidizer's falling off, so I'm guessing I did need a ram. Liquid fuel's falling off not as fast as I might expect. Okay, so let's revert the flight back to the vehicle assembly building. And this time, let's stick on some air intakes, shall we? Yes. So, we have a 3-way symmetry going on, so we'll just stick on 3 air intakes like so. And we'll take her out again. Right, stabilization is on, and the thruster's turned up, and let's go, go, go. Now, she's too heavy to take off. Oh, there we go. Beginning to move. But now, we're not losing oxidizer as we lift. You can see liquid fuel's not really falling off. It's very slowly falling down. So even though we're not moving quickly, we're accelerating. We're lifting. Probably doesn't need 3 of those on there, to be fair. But it does mean we'll be able to draw more air for longer. So it'll work out. Yeah, see the intake air is dropping off. And once it gets too low, normally a jet engine would stall out. However, it does take into consideration speed as well as the height you are in the atmosphere. So it would probably behoove me to start angling this over a bit earlier than I normally would. So I stay in a thicker part of the atmosphere for a bit longer while we get our speed up. And that should keep the intake air from falling off so sharply. And make better use of the thrust. And in fact, just spin that over a little. There we are. That way our Kerbal is not having to stare at the side. Let's have a look from the inside, shall we? Yes, there we go. Oh, that's... Look at that cockpit. Yes. Yes, this is a view. Yes. So, our little rocket plane is working out fine. And... yeah, we're accelerating. Good. Probably should tip her back a bit towards... lifting as opposed to falling. I think I may have actually taken her too far over, to be honest. Because those stabilizers keep wanting me to go down into the air. Is it Newham? Sorry, Newham. Now, I appear to be losing electric charge. I'm guessing this engine doesn't generate electricity. No, it does not. Right. Let's shut down the stabilizers. And try to control her on the stabilization. It's not working. Alright, let's take the engine down. Right, so that was a failure. But as you can saw how the engine worked. You can see liquid fuel was hardly used at all during that entire flight. We have a full tank of oxidizer. That worked quite well that way. And if I hadn't gone and tipped it over and it being so heavy, it probably would have worked better. In fact, let's take those off. And take that off. Stick on the can. And stick on something I can just actually mount through. Let's see here. That's too big. That's too big. Yeah, you'll do. Alright. And then we go over here. And that would look silly, but it should work. I mean, I know it's ridiculous, but the components don't really care how they look. Right, let's try it. Right, there's our resources. You can see the intake air is responding. Okay. So we'll turn on facilities and turn up the thrust, and we are go. There. As you can see, fuel is steady. Look at this. So much liquid fuel. Intake air shutting down, because we're about 23,000 up in the air. So now we're using oxidizer. Just going to shut off the engine for a bit, have a look at our trajectory. Good. Right. Throttle up the engine just a bit. Just to start pushing the angle out. Because while we're going up, we also want to be able to move over, don't we? There we go. Yes, that's working. We're practically out of the atmosphere, so the intake's not bringing us any air. The oxidizer that we carry on board is running out. And of course this thing doesn't have a parachute, but this is just a test bed to demonstrate what we're doing. That's onboard oxidizer is run out. So I've shut down the engine. We will now drift through our trajectory. And I'm afraid I can't take it any faster than 4 times until I'm outside the atmosphere. And we were only outside the atmosphere for a very brief moment, I'm afraid. No matter what the intake said. Now once we start seeing some intake air again, I could try to reactivate the engine. Yep, there we go. So let's turn down speed and come into the ship. Kinda out of control, so that's not so cool, but yep, the engine fires back up. Need to direct the intake to the direction travel. We are spiraling out of control at the moment. There we go. Oh. Stop it. Fighting the gyros. I'm Gus Grissom. Ah! Kill the engine. Okay, we've stabilized. Now, can we get control again? No, don't flip over. Oh, we are so going in the drink. Oh! Well, that didn't work, did it? But that's a fair demonstration of how the intake and the new engine works. So, yeah. That was it for that. May have looked stupid, but it worked. So, hey, you know, possibly put the jet fuel above the other one. I don't know. It depends. Usually they feed down in line, so when they're connected directly like this. Anyhow, that's the new engine. And if you want to see what it would take to actually get this thing up, there we go. Let's mount that onto a fairly light fuel tank, right? And the smallest engine of that class. Okay? Right. I think I could actually just launch this. Ah, okay. So even though it's a man module, but it has no control. Okay, that's fair enough. It is kind of freaky that if it would be actually the command control unit. So there, we'll stick that on there. This probably is not going to really go anywhere. But just to give you an impression of the weight. 3.5 tons is not tiny. Now that is a pretty powerful engine, actually, if you're familiar. It's the Poodle. I mean, it's not the biggest engine. It's just like the third biggest engine. Now, as you can see, I need crew for this thing to actually work. It says lab status, not enough crew. So, you'll need to make sure you outload it with some crew on board. The cupola module will have the capability of having 3. There we go. We're out of fuel already. We haven't even hit 5,000. I think our total flight distance is going to be... yeah, it's not even going to be 4.5. So yeah, it's a heavy thing, it's a big thing, but you're going to want it. Right. Well, we don't really need to see that crash into the ground. I'm certain you've seen plenty. What if we want to staff it out, you say? Well, let's see here, crew. Fill it with crew, please. Oh, that's right. I don't have any crew left over here at the on this one. I should hire some more. There, everybody. Hiring everybody. Okay. Now, fill it up. Thank you. So you'll need to remember to do this before you take off, I'm afraid. You can also micromanage and preset things, so you can like lock the gimbal, you can There's various micromanagement controls that you can set in the design phase now. What else? Well, we'll have to look at the science tree. So to do that, we're going to need to go to Science Center. It's actually open, because unfortunately this one's not open. Yeah, facility's closed, because it's a sandbox mode game. So, let's leave the game. This is the one I was using for my science campaign previously. So as you can see, I had unlocked a few things. Sadly, there's nothing new on here, but there is the Science Archives. Now, I believe that it may be new bits of the structure, I just haven't gotten to them yet. Like I said, those components I was demonstrating are fairly advanced. Now, Science Archives. So we can see what kind of science we've done. As you can see, I've done some solar science, haven't done anything at Moho, nothing at Eve, nothing at Gilly. At Kerbal, I've done all kinds of science. I've done science at the moon. I've done the science at Minmus. I haven't done the science really anywhere else. Okay? But the Kerbal system, I own the Kerbal system. As you can see, I got temperature scans, I got mobile material labs, mystery goos, EVA reports, crew reports, surface samples, all kinds of stuff. Temperature scans, barometer scans, from flying low, flying high, splashdown, landed, all kinds of biomes, all over the place. And apparently there are new biomes on, I think, Minmus. So, what I've done already is still here, of course, like the surface sample taken from the surface. And you can always open up the report and read it again, and you can see the value of these reports. So, like, crew report while high in space over Minmus, right? That was worth 31.37. Or like this mystery group observation while high in space over Minmus was worth basically nothing, because I've already done that one a bunch of times. But it still logs the report. And there's Werner von Kerman, hero of the space program. Will not make any jokes about Hitler. Or, I don't know, Kittler? I guess he'd be in Kerbal. So, you can review your stuff. Here we go. Moon has different biomes as well. You know, that's nice. So, there's different places to go and explore. It is definitely worth exploring and doing different missions to the Moon and Minmus now. And definitely to Kerbal. I mean, these little short hops were all worthwhile in getting my program started. So, that's the archives. As you can see, the technology tree is here. Honestly, I don't think any of the bits that I've been talking about are in the bits I've unlocked. I'll have a quick look. In fact, the fastest way to find out is actually just go to the construction laboratory. Right, vehicle assembly building, and I just go and have a look. Yeah, it's not in here. And neither are the engines. Okay. Didn't think they would be. So those are for later. But anyhow, that's a quick tour of the 0.23 update. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, folks. Goodbye.